Hailing from the backwoods of New Jersey, welcome to the Jersey Guys Music Podcast, where we feature in-depth music discussions and interviews with special guests from the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, and AOR music. So settle in and crank it up. Now, here are your hosts, the Jersey Guys themselves, Tom and Mark.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Jersey Guys podcast. I'm Mark here with Tom, as always, and as you can see, no guest tonight. What we thought we would do is Tom came up with this idea to do a mid-year review. As you see, there's piles of CDs sitting in front of us. So we thought we would just talk about the albums that have come out this year so far, things we've enjoyed. No order, we're not ranking these or anything like that. We're just kind of talking about some of the albums that have come out this year that we like. So it was a good idea you had.
Thank you. To me personally, I think it's been a little bit of a lean year, 2025, in terms of like upper echelon albums. As usual, there's been hundreds and hundreds of releases. So I've tried to whittle it down to maybe 10 albums that I think are worthy to talk about and hopefully turn a few people onto that don't have them and spark some interest in people who do have them and agree with what my opinion is. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it's basically, when you look at this, it's going to be right about the midpoint of the year. So we thought if we're going to do it, it's a good time to do it. Summer schedules and all those things. So things get a little slower at this time of year for us. So yeah, we thought we'd do something to give you guys a little content because we know we got some loyal ones out there. Talking to you, Rich Gower. So yeah, you know, we had to do something to put a little content up for you guys. So yeah, let's get right into it. Before we got to thank somebody here. Recent guest we had, Mike Walsh from the band Departure. He sent a little something to Tom today, and we could display it.
A nice little momentum to add to the collection of everything on the Jersey Guys desk here.
Yeah,
which you could see there's quite a few tidbits.
Yes, very cool of him. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate that. So I guess let's get right into it. You want to start off?
Yeah, I'll start first with the new Wet album, which most people are familiar with. I would hope. Jeff Scott Soto, the guys from Eclipse, guys from Work of Art. I have to say I was very pleasantly surprised by this album. I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. I would say it out of their 5 albums, I would rank it about third. To me, their strongest albums were their second and their third albums. Songs overall are really strong. It's really refreshing to hear Jeff Scott Soto singing and playing in a band that we like the style that he's doing in. And kind of reminds me of how much he's missed in the melodic rock, hard rock scene.
Yeah.
And the name of the album is called Apex for anybody that doesn't have it. And if you're a fan of Wet, which I would think virtually anybody who likes melodic hard rock would be, highly recommend it. It's really, really strong album. I was shocked by how strong the songs were. It exceeded my expectations.
It's been a little while since they put something out too, right? So it's not like they just did something recently.
Yeah, very, 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 very terrific album.
Yeah, good one. I'm going to start with this one only because, and like I said, there's no order. We're not ranking anything, but I want to basically get this off the desk because it's so damn big. But I'm going to start with the brand new Dream Theater album, Parasomnia. It just came out earlier this year. The first album, obviously, with Mike Portnoy back in the band after a long time. Tom and I were talking about this. This is a band that I was massively into. Tom was massively into back in the beginning days, 93-ish, something like that, 94, 95 period. And I kind of just fell out with them. The band it became too much, too progressive. The long songs, 20 minutes, 18, 20-minute songs, and plus, and it lost me. But this album, obviously when Mike Portnoy was coming back, it was a little bit of an interest there. So I had to check it out. And I bought this, and I got the deluxe version. As you can see, it's not an album. This is actually a CD version. It's got 3 discs with it. But I figured if I'm going to go big, I might as well go big or go home, get the deluxe version. But the album itself, it reminds me at times, there's a little bit that harkens back to the earlier period in sound. It's not totally, but it does. There's songs 8, 9, 10, 11 minutes long. The last song on the album is about 20 minutes long. So there is some long songs, and that's not going to change with Dream Theater at this point. So, but it's a good album. I think it's a good comeback with Mike Portnoy back in the band. And so Dream Theater, Parasomnia.
Okay. My next one was Brother Firetribe, which actually was a band I didn't even know existed anymore. It's been a long time since they've done anything. I really didn't know that they were still around. They popped out with the 7-track, I guess, EP/new album. And it's terrific. If you like Brother Firetribe and their style, and again, very similar to Wet. If you like melodic hard rock, this is one of the upper echelon bands, and this doesn't disappoint at all. I was very, very impressed by it. Huge production on it, and I'm fine with 6, 7 songs from a band sometimes. Yeah. There's so much overload, and albums that are a minute, an hour and 10 minutes long. Yeah, I really like this album a lot, and anybody that likes Brother Firetribe, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I have that too here. I mean, great Finnish band, just came out of nowhere. Like Tom said, I really didn't hear about it coming, and then all of a sudden it was out. So yeah, it's a good one for sure. What am I going to go with next? I'm gonna pick the new Don Airey CD, Push to the Edge. Don Airey, of course, Rainbow, Deep Purple. It's his new solo album, and it's really, really strong. It's got a heaviness to it, but it's got that heavy, like Deep Purple sound to it. Carl Sentence is the singer on this. Really, really good album. Push to the Edge from Don Airey. Digging it a lot. Check it out. I didn't even know it was coming out, to be honest with you. And a couple months ago, I saw an advertisement for it and picked it up, and it's a real strong album. So.
I don't have it, but I listened to a couple of songs before we went on the air, and it sounded pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Simon McBride, the new guitar player in Deep Purple, is also on this. So, yeah, it's a really, really good album. Very well done.
My next one is the new Tokyo Blade album. This is, I believe, their 4th album since they've gotten back together with the pretty much original lineup with Alan Marsh singing. And it's just another slab of phenomenal hard rock, great songs, great vocals. And to me, they just don't get enough. They never got enough buzz. For anybody that's like them back in the day, that kind of hasn't followed the last 4 albums since they've gotten back together. And again, it's pretty much the whole classic lineup. They're one better than the other. This album is outstanding.
That's a good one. I got to pick that up. I didn't even know about it.
Time is the Fire is the name of it. And it's such a terrific album.
Yeah. Well, again, and we're going to list all these albums that we're talking about in the description on YouTube for you guys, because the last time we did this, when we started back up about a year ago or so,
about a year,
we talked about it. We put pictures of the albums, which we're going to do again, but we had some people talking. Hey, what was that album? I didn't quite catch the picture of it. So we're going to list all the albums that we're talking about tonight in our YouTube description, and of course on our Facebook page. And as we're talking about stuff, I mean, there's plenty of albums that came out this year that we're not going to talk about. So if you guys want to let us know on either the comments section on YouTube or on our Facebook page, let us know what you guys have been listening to this year so far that's come out. So, but I'm going to go with my next one now. This is the brand new Harem Scarem album, Chasing Euphoria. Obviously, this is not an unknown band. These guys have been around since the early 1990s, put out a couple classic albums in the melodic rock, hard rock sound in the first two albums they put out. This new album, I think it's their 16th studio album.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Wow.
believe it or not. I think if you include those rubber albums that were under the two albums that came out. But yeah, this is just it's people have been saying it's a return to the early classic sound. I don't know if I'd quite go that far. The first three songs are really awesome on the album. And then there's a great ballad in there. And then a couple of the songs kind of go into what they've sounded like over the last number of albums. A little more paint by numbers, I guess I would say. And then it finishes up strong. So it's a good album, though. Chasing Euphoria from Harem, Scarem.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet. I own it. I haven't listened to it. And I'm getting mixed reviews on it. There's some people flipping out about it. There's some people that saying it's okay. I have to listen to it, but I would go with what Mark said so far. I haven't gotten to it.
Yeah.
My next one is, I think, one of the best albums of the year, called Ray of Light, which has ex-Frontline members, for anybody that's into this scene, which if you're watching the show, I'm sure you are. And it's the last recorded works of the mastermind of Frontline, Bobby Boble. And it is a tremendous album. I mean, it reminds me a lot of the more recent period of Winger. The song structures and the singing, if you listen to it, anybody that's has this album will attest to it. Just a tremendous album. Again, with a good, really good production and terrific songs. I definitely one of the top 5 albums, I would say, so far this year.
That went under my radar. I got to add that to my list for sure. We were going, through these albums before we started tonight, and when Tom brought that one up, I says, "I don't know."
Yeah, Ray of Light is really, really good.
Good one. I got to pick that up for sure. I'm going to go a little left field here with this one. The brand new Young Gun Silver Fox album. It's called Pleasure. Just came out recently. And these guys, I think it's their 5th album now?
5th album.
Tom turned me on to them, actually.
I did.
Yeah. But these guys are total West Coast with some pop sound, but very smooth, again, poppy stuff going on there. But if you like that smooth West Coast, it's different. I'm sure there's going to be some listeners out there that do like it. It might be a little bit, off the beaten path for others. But I think this album is great. It's like the previous 4. I mean, these guys know how to write a song. It's kind of got that quote unquote yacht rock feel to it, very smooth West Coast sound, something you just put on, in the summertime, and it's perfect for that. And these guys are actually playing in New Jersey later this year in October, down in Asbury Park, New Jersey, down in South Jersey by the shore. So hopefully going to go check them out.
Yeah, myself finally. As well. I'm definitely going to go see them.
Yeah. So Young Gun Silver Fox, Pleasure.
I mean, some people say they, like jumping on the yacht rock bandwagon, but they're very unique also. They're very professional musicians. The albums are really well done. They have a big following in Japan. All their albums come out in Japan with exclusive bonus tracks, and they have a big following in the West Coast, and they're actually going to play in New Jersey in a couple of months, which we're both going to go. Yeah. There's no gimmick with these guys. They're the real deal. Yeah. If you like that 1979 to 1981 USA, commercial West Coast. West Coast. However, the sound, the Doobie Brothers, and that type of sound of that era, and great stuff. Yeah. Great pick.
Yeah.
My next one is an American band. It's an EP. It came out on their own label, Dazr, D-A-Z-R. Fantastic band. I think one of the best bands, but potentially to come out of the States in a long time. I would say I think they have the potential to be huge. How they ended up getting marketed, whether it turns into a Greta Van Fleet type of thing. That's what I think of when I see them. They got the look. They got the Zeppelin sound, not as much as Greta Van Fleet, but that kind of rawness, and great vocals, really catchy songs. And I think it definitely a band for this year to watch, or 2026 to look out for. Dazr, Dazr. They're on Facebook and all the. You
That
can
was
get
on
the.
Bandcamp that you
It was
picked
on
up? Or is that
Bandcamp too.
you could
Yeah,
buy it from?
it's
Yeah.
it's an EP, but it's really strong stuff.
Yeah, that's a good one. I picked that up myself too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. My next one I'm going to go with, of course, this is another band, much like the Harem Scarem I talked about a little bit ago. This is H.E.A.T out of Sweden. Their brand new album, Welcome to the Future. This is the second album now with the original singer, Kenny, back in the band now.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did. This is the second full album. I think there was an EP in between there. But I personally, and Tom and I were talking about this before the show. I personally like the original singer. He's my preference when I think of H.E.A.T. A lot of people, obviously, Eric Gronwall, great singer. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to, say I diss him at all. But I just prefer when it comes to H.E.A.T, because I was introduced to them with the original singer Kenny, and I really like it. And this new one, it's very good. It's kind of got that sound that H.E.A.T's done, where they went with a little bit on the heavier side with Eric.
I haven't listened to it yet.
And
I
their early
yeah.
stuff was more like melodic-y, almost had touches of like some AOR feel to it. So it's a couple songs on here that have that sound, but it's mostly got that newer H.E.A.T sound with the heavier guitars, the screams from Kenny. It's done very well. This band, top of the line production, just a great song. And I got to give them a few extra points for the album cover.
Yeah,
It's
great,
something
great album cover.
that could have came from like 1983,
Totally.
from like
Yeah.
I don't know, one of like Alien or one of those type of bands, 220 volt or
No,
Pretty
it's a great
Maids
cover.
or something.
Great retro cover.
It's got that look to it. So yeah, Welcome to the Future from H.E.A.T.
I'm an Eric guy, although I do like the original singer. I haven't listened to it yet, so I'll hold opinion.
Yeah.
My next one is Perfect Plan,
Good one.
the brand new one. Might be their best album. They have so many good. Every album is outstanding. Ken Hilly's solo stuff is outstanding. The 310 record he was on was outstanding. He's without a doubt the most, to me, talented newer frontman on the scene. And the new Perfect Plan, from cover to cover, has some of their best songs on it. I won't say it's their best album because they have so many good albums, but it's got such. I think that a couple of the songs toward the top of the album may be the best songs they've ever written. Highly recommended. If you're like, into that kind of that foreigner sound of, they kind of have that late 70s, early 80s USA hard rock sound, like perfected. Yeah. It's a real professional band. Like these guys are, I wish there were more Perfect Plans in the world.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much a band that can do no wrong, and the singer can do no wrong with the solo stuff. So
the guy is a massive talent, and the whole band is really good. But he's really the guy is a jewel.
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree. That's a good one for sure. The next one I'm gonna go with is the new Crazy Lixx album. This one is Thrill of the Bite. This Danny Rexon is a guy that's had a streak now going for a while with both Crazy Lixx, and then he's also the guy behind pretty much all the H.E.A.T albums, the female singer. He writes all the material and everything like that for the most part, produces and all that stuff. But this is the band's, I think, 9th album now.
They got a lot of albums.
Crazy that they've had that many albums out. But yeah, I mean, they to me. And Danny Rexon's not like the best vocalist in the world.
Yeah, I mean he's okay.
He's okay,
yeah.
but I think his vocals with the style of music that they do, which it embodies that 80s like hair band sound so well.
Well, for me personally, I thought their first album was great. I thought they nailed that California 1988 sound to a T. And I all their albums are good, but I don't think they ever did anything that, like, for me was like on
that one
with that debut album.
I can see that. Yeah. I thought they were a little more sleazy in that
Absolutely.
on that album.
Absolutely.
And they've kind of gone a little more
yes.
like
And that's kind of they never really did anything like that first album.
right. Yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, and I think I'm the guy that kind of likes I like more of that classier sort of hairband sound in a way.
Mark's insinuating I'm not classy.
No, not at all. I'm just saying, you know.
I do like a
you
lot
like
of those.
the sleazier
Yes, of
stuff
course, yeah.
and the glammier
Yes,
stuff in a way,
right.
more than maybe I do.
Right.
So that's all I was trying to say.
No,
but I think the later Crazy Lixx stuff for me does it because it just embodies that. It has that sound, and that when you listen to the songs, it just has that spirit, you know, to me, and that's what I take away from the Crazy Lixx album. So yeah, the new one, Thrill of the Bite from Crazy Lixx.
My next one is the latest release from Wildness, Avenger, which this is another band that I think this is their fourth release. Really, really strong band, kind of in that classic Dalton, Treat, Skagerrak type of style, you know. This one I think is as good as anything they've done, and I hate to, you know, just say that, but they have 4 albums out. To me, there's not one of them that you could even say is weak. It's really like that great Swedish hard rock, a little metal at times, a little AOR-ish at times. Again, kind of out of the Treat mold, where you know it could go in either way. Great singer, terrific album cover.
Yeah.
I again, like similar to Perfect Plan. I would rate these guys as the real upper echelon of stuff in this genre that's coming out in this day and age.
I don't think they get enough credit.
I don't know, and I
with
don't
those
know
other
why.
bands when you talk about the
They
H.E.A.T
don't.
and the Crazy Lixx
Yes.
and the Perfect Plan. They're not in that
I don't
conversation.
know.
I don't know why.
I don't know whether they don't have like an identifiable enough look, or the front man doesn't stand. The front man is terrific. They don't, because their albums are just really standout. If these albums came out as they were in the late 80s, they would have gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And for now, where people are begging for these type of albums, they just kind of, at least to me, I hope I'm wrong, but they just seem like they just kind of, you know, just kind of mix in the middle. Like nobody like really goes nuts about them.
Right. Yeah. You don't hear them in that conversation with those other bands that we talked about. But yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I actually got to pick that up myself. The next one I'm going to go with is the brand new, the second album from Adrian Smith and Richie Kotzen. This one's called Black Light, White Noise. Again, into the second album these guys have put out together. I mean, if you know what the first one sounds like, or if you're familiar with Richie Kotzen and his solo material and the stuff he's done with like Winery Dogs and things like that, his vocals have a very identifiable sound, not like anybody else, right? I mean, there's really
he sounds I mean, now he's actually that age, but when he was 20 years old, I used to say he sounds like a 60-year-old black guy.
Yeah.
Now he's a 60-year-old white guy who sounds like a 60-year-old black guy.
That's true. Yeah, but his vocals are great. I mean, there's great guitar playing on here. Great songs. If you have the first one, I mean, this is more of the same. So yeah, the new Adrian Smith, Richie Kotzen, Black Light, White Noise.
Is it basically it's the same style and everything?
Yeah.
Because I haven't listened to it. Again, I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah. It sounds like the same.
Okay.
The first album, I thought so.
Because I really liked that first album. It wasn't like something that stood out that I'm going to go back to all the time, but it was, I thought, better than what because it's a weird
combination.
Combination.
Yeah.
And it kind of melded better than I thought it would. So, and I bought the second. I haven't listened to it yet.
No, for sure. I think it's got like probably more of like the Richie Kotzen influence on it
than the first one.
I think both. I think both albums sort of have, to me, are more Richie Kotzen.
Because Adrian kind of has like a voice that's, I mean, he could sing, but there's nothing identifiable about his voice.
And he does, same thing. You get a little bit of like him singing, and then Richie.
That's what they did a lot in the first album.
So it's got that too. Yeah.
But Kotzen has like a very identifiable voice.
For sure. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go with the brand new, or kind of brand new, Alien album, which had that throwback cover, which is oddly almost identical to their debut, but it's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
We had Jim Jahed on the show a couple of months ago. He was a great guest. If anybody hasn't seen the interview yet, you should check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
This album is really surprising because I had known about this from a friend of mine, John Rosenblum from Sweden, had tipped me off probably like 2 years ago that they were going to do a real throwback AOR album. So I knew that was coming. It took forever for them to put it out, and it lived up to expectations for the most part. At first I was a little apprehensive. Could they recapture that sound? And I wouldn't say it's recaptured 100%, but I think for the most part, considering the passage of time, it really is good. The album is strong. There's some really good songs on it. H.E.A.T still sings really well. Maybe not quite as high or verbose as he was many moons ago, but he's still really good, and the songwriting is strong, and it's got a very identifiable alien sound to it. And quite honestly, I'm very happy that they've gone back to this, because they've done so many oddball twists and turns, with Tony Borg and H.E.A.T, and the drummer has been with them for a while now, the original drummer, and they've put out a couple albums that weren't bad, but they weren't particularly great, and they were nothing like you would think of Alien. So I'm very happy to see that they're back in this mode. And this is a strong album. I would say this is like a good 7.5 to 8 out of 10.
Yeah. No, I think that album, when you come away from it, like you said, they've done stuff in the more recent past that hasn't really sounded like the early classic sound. And this album's about the songs.
Yeah, it's really
got
good.
a lot of really good songs on it that definitely harken back to that older sound.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good one.
Very happy with it. I didn't expect it to be as strong throughout the whole album as it is, and I'm very glad to see that they're back in that mode. And I hope they if they do another album, I hope they stay there.
Yeah, hope they continue that. Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna the one I'm gonna talk about now, and this is something Tom can jump in on this too, but the band Child's Play, First Toy. This was something that came out back in 1986. It was a vinyl only release, right?
Yeah.
Heaven and Hell has reissued it in 2025. So you have this album, but at the same time they put out the Big City album, which was a second album, right? That did come out originally on CD, but very, very scarce pressing.
Yeah, it came out under the moniker of Big City, and it really they disassociated themselves with Child's Play completely. Now that they're reissuing it, they're trying to put the two together. It does not sound really too much like the Child's Play album. They had a different sound, more melodic. It was more of like a melodic rock sound.
Yeah.
But as far as the Child's Play album, I was thrilled that I always thought that this was. It was kind of an underground band from, I believe, like Boise, Idaho they were from.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and I remember having the album back in the day, and it was like kind of the quality is something that should have been signed. I know we use that term all the time. These guys should have been signed, but for that era, I thought that they should have been signed. They had a really good look. They had great songs, and I never knew that this was in the works until we saw our good friends at Heaven and Hell. I got the rights to it and put it out. And I would say for me personally, with all the reissues of stuff that's never been on CD before, this was one of the ones that, really made me super happy to see done properly.
Yeah, for sure.
We had vinyl transfers from it, of a record that I had, but really something that should have come out, should have been signed, and it's got that real classic 86, 87 USA hard rock metal sound, great songs. It's great throwback stuff, really. It's really worthy of getting the Heaven and Hell treatment, and kudos to the guys over there, Gary Schaefer and that bunch. Yeah, they're doing some good stuff over there.
Yeah. So Child's Play. We'll put pictures of the albums up. See, it's not the Child's Play out of Baltimore that came out.
Yeah, another great band, but totally different.
Totally different. But yeah, we'll put the covers up, and if you guys can check them out and listen to them. But yeah, they came out in tandem. So First Toy and Big City, Child's Play.
My next one is a band called Two Wolf, which has Greg T. Walker, original bass player from Blackfoot. This has been in the works for, I believe, the last 7 years. And how I know that is that I had contacted Greg 7 years ago about when it was coming out, and he wrote me up back at the time and said very soon. Well, I wrote him today to see if I could get him on the podcast coming up because it finally did come out. And anybody that is a Blackfoot fan or Southern rock fan, it's a good, really good throwback stuff. Some of it is not total Southern rock; it's more straight up hard rock, and some of it really harkens back, especially like songs 2 or 3, like to the middle of the record. A lot of Blackfoot, great stuff. I had the demos of it from literally 7 years ago.
That,
Yeah, a friend of mine had gotten the demos from a friend of his, and literally it's been in the pipeline. He's been trying to get it signed. Cleopatra Records finally signed them. And if any fans of Blackfoot, which I'm sure there's plenty of, Greg T. Walker, which we all know was a huge part of the band, this album is real good.
Yeah.
There's some terrific stuff on it. If you like a real gutsy, ballsy USA hard rock with a Southern rock influence.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one.
Winding it down here. My next one is the new Hellacopters album, Overdrive.
These guys are all you.
Yeah, this is the band I've been into for years. I don't know how many fans are out there. They lean a little in the punk rock direction. Not as much punk rock as people kind of lump them into. They're really a very, if anybody's not familiar with them, straight ahead hard rock band. Actually, to me, they sound more like a very heavy Rolling Stones than they do punk rock. But
That's interesting.
they had some songs that were punk rock, so they always got kind of lumped into that genre. But their new album, Overdrive, it's the second album since they've got back together, and it's terrific. So anybody that's into the new Hellacopters albums or the reformation of the band, which is pretty much the original band, give it a whirl.
Nice. Good one.
So my last one is an album called Sign of the Wolf. And anybody that's familiar with me knows that I've been gushing about this for quite a long time. I was waiting for it to come out forever. It's with Andrew Freeman and Vinny Appice and Doug Aldrich and the great Tony Carey.
Yes, back again.
And a lot of assorted British musicians that have, these guys don't play on every single track. So there's some guys that fill in like Steve Morris, and it's a phenomenal album. And what surprised me about it is I expected it to be like very Last in Line / Dio. And while it has the Dio overtones to it, it really has its own personality. It really doesn't sound like a Dio album per se, or even a Last in Line album per se. It's from that like Black Sabbathy,
Totally.
edgy, dark, demon type of thing going on, but it's got a very unique song. The songs are just incredible on it. It's just from it goes from the first song to the last song are the two best songs on the album.
Wow.
The first song, the last song, two best songs on the album. Everything in between is a 9 and a 10.
Wow.
It's just an incredible album. Kudos to Bruce Mee and Khalil Turk, who are the masterminds behind getting this, what I'm sure was a very expensive project, off the ground. And it's one of the few things in recent years that have lived up to the expectations and maybe even exceeded the expectations attached to it. It's just a phenomenal album. Anybody that doesn't have it, if you're into, I would say it's more closely, rather than Dio, I would say it's more closely to the Sabbath, Tony Martin era. It reminds me more of like a Headless Cross TYR sound.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And we said we weren't, rating these or putting in any order, but I think this might potentially be like an album.
These
of
are
the
not
year
rated,
type of
but
thing,
for me personally, I hope there is an album that comes up in the next 6 months
Yeah.
that I could say is as good as this.
Right.
I'd be happy just to say that there is, but I doubt it. It really is that good. It really lived up to the hype. I personally doubted it would. I saw all the, when you see the names and, you just kind of say it's a project. It's going to sound like a project. It's going to sound regurgitated.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. You'll listen to it once. It's not this album. This album's got some just absolute monster songs on it. And Andrew Friedman gives a vocal performance of the ages on it. It's and Tony Carey, the songs that he's on, you don't even have to be told that it's him. You recognize those rainbow keyboards.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. Yeah, so like I said, I think that's going to be up there for all of us at the end of the year. But that's what we got tonight. We thought we'd give you guys a little bit of a mid-year breakdown on some of the stuff we've been listening to over the last 6 months or so. And so we'll have this up pretty soon. You guys will be watching it. But hopefully we're going to put a listing, like I said earlier, when we're going to list all these CDs in a description on our YouTube post. And we're going to put it also on our Facebook page so you guys can, if you're not familiar with something, you can check it out. I know Eric Reed out there, he was asking me last time we did something like this, what was that album you talked about? So we're going to actually list them this time for you guys, so it's a little bit easier to track them down if you're not familiar with them. So that's it for this episode, right?
All wrapped up.
Yeah, and we'll be back at you again soon with a guest.
A lot of good guests coming up.
Yes, cool. So we'll be back soon with a guest, and till then, be well, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.